Dr. Life in the business of saving lives. First responder, responding to man-made disasters. It's a special night tonight, y'all. Real special night tonight. When you see this shirt, this is vintage. This is vintage, yo. Break the cycle. I'll break this shirt out during times of revelation. During times of revelation. I had this shirt on in 2006 when I was in Crenshaw High School with my main man E.T. And I was inspired to share with him on camera a revelation that I had seen based on where I saw the trajectory of where the Creator was taking him and his ministry, and where the Creator had placed me and where the Creator was taking me. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get Stillborn on the phone. Because every time when this stuff goes down, every time when it's time to reveal, you gotta have two witnesses. This is nothing new with me and Stillborn. Back in 91, Stillborn the Revelator. Yo, I got another revelation, so I had to hit you up, yo.
What's happening?
You remember in 91 when we was walking back from the dorm after we had met Kanisha and Natola, and I was like, yo, that's me right there. That's the one.
Uh-huh. I remember that.
And you remember earlier I told you we was gonna launch the Havillah coins, right?
Right.
Alright, so last night my pops called me. Last night my pops had called me talking about a ministry that he wanted to do. Now he not knowing that he don't even know the ramifications of the Havillah coins. He don't know the potential, you know what I'm saying? He's talking about how he gonna fund the ministry and all of that. And I finished the ICO last night. I finished it. It's done. We launched it, right? So at the same time, though, I promise you, I had just finished doing the joint. So Pops hits me. So he talking about this ministry. He talking about how he gonna try and figure out how he gotta fund it and this and that. And I'm tripping because the Most High is like, yo, we gonna fund it. We gonna fund it on the Havillah coin, on the Havillah road. You know what I'm saying? So, I always call you because you gotta have two witnesses. You know what I'm saying? So before I even break it to him, I'm speaking on it right now, just like I spoke on it when he revealed it to me there. But it's going down. It's finished. You know what I'm saying? So what we gonna do? We're gonna have a phase. We're gonna have a phase where we're gonna open it up to our people, like Pops and all of us who have our ministries, so that when the public come to get their coins, all of our ministries and all of our institutions that we've invested in over the years, we already there. We already got them. You know what I'm saying? So the exchange, the backbone of the exchange is us. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna go through a phase where we let all of us get our distribution and put our stuff on the network. You know what I'm saying? Then we're gonna go to the second phase of our people who've been just in business on a high level. You know what I'm saying? The Thomas Felders and all of them, business on a high level. So the marketplace and the exchange is going to be there. Then we're going to open it up to the public in March. Um, so I promised little Damon that I was going to launch his football league, right?
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, Munchie, come here. So in March, we're going to open up the exchange for people to get the coins, because what's going to be exchanged and how we going to pay and the sponsors and everything is going to be with the coins. You know what I'm saying? So the growth of the network and the investment, the money that we're going to put into putting these teams in all of these cities, in Chicago, in Trenton, in Atlanta, in Huntsville, in LA. You know what I mean? There's a fundraising component, you know what I'm saying? Because you exchange cash for the coins, you understand? So we're gonna use the cash
Right.
that we receive when people exchange their cash to get the Havillah coins. We're gonna use that to launch the league. You know what I'm saying? Munchie.
Right.
So we here, you know what I'm saying? I'm just documenting it, I'm just letting you know what I mean? The dope thing is we have a music platform as well, you know what I'm saying? So um it's gonna be Havillah music, right? So artists gonna be able to launch. We're gonna be able to bypass any traditional record labels, any traditional everything. You know what I'm saying? It's really like how Napster cut out. You know what I'm saying? The record label, and how the internet cut out the record label. Well, same thing that blockchain is doing. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
and then you could launch your own coin for we could launch our own coin just for the nation. You know what I'm saying? So people who follow Alien Nation, you know what I'm saying, could come to the concerts, get the tickets, get the merch, everything, you know what I'm saying, with the Alien Nation coin, you know what I'm saying, and it'll all be on the Havillah blockchain. You understand? So
That's dope.
yeah, it's gonna be crazy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna double back to all of our people who've gone through Pond Forge and Oakwood, who've never recorded, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we just gonna double back, and we gonna, you know what I'm saying, take them in the studio and create a profile just like we did with Real to Reels. You understand what I'm saying? It's the same, it's the
Yeah.
identical concept. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It's what they tried to do with MySpace, and then they tried to monetize MySpace, but MySpace day was already done once they, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
um we at the height of this thing, bro. So I'm just letting you know, um 2020. So February, I'm gonna divide it up between you, me, Pops. I'm gonna hit Spider too, um, Kanisha, and Xavier down at Huntsville. We all gonna have different targets to be able to get access to the, you know what I'm saying, to the um getting on the blockchain with us. You feel me?
Yeah. I want that. Let
All
me
right.
know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna send you the document too. I'm gonna email it to you real quick. But I just wanted to put it out there. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna call Pops and let him know, and I'm gonna cut a video and just explain to the people what it is we about to do. You know what I'm saying? But it's about to be life changing, son.
All right. That's what's up.
All right,
Mm, yeah. Let me get back to filling these tests I'm taking.
all right. I'll holler at you later.
All right.
All right,
One.
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 All right, so that's my man Craig Morgan. All right. So several times throughout history, when something has been revealed a major move. Like when I was making transition from going from, I was in Chicago and my father had come to Orlando, and he saw a school in Orlando, and he called me and he was like, yo, you need to come down here and check this spot out. I think this would be perfect for the talents that you have. I say, all right. So I'm down there like 4 months later, and I go to the school, and immediately I hear like, yo, this where you need to be. This where you need to be. I'm gonna give you a whole nother skill set. And in 2005, I got on the phone and I told my man, I was like, listen, I don't even have the money. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I just received word that, yo, this the place where I need to be. And whenever I put it out there in an atmosphere like this, and then step out on faith and just move on faith, not knowing how it's going to happen, not knowing whatever, he always opened the doors. So every time I get a revelation like this, I get on the phone and I call my man, because the same thing happened when I met my wife. I met her in Kimbrough Hall, and me and that gentleman that I was just on the phone with, we was walking back, and I received the same revelation that I just received last night about what we gonna do financially with these organizations and programs that we've been doing on a local level. It's just been revealed to me how to take it to the next level. Well, it's been revealed several years ago, but I've been working on putting it in place. And then my father called me last night with a ministry for inmates that he wants to do. And I just finished a business plan surrounding this. All right. So this is called, I'm launching a website. I'm launching a community called the Havillah Road. All right. The Havillah Road is the original financial system. The original financial system that Joseph was taken back to help the people navigate a financial crisis. The Havillah Road. All right. The Havillah Road is the original financial system that Daniel helped put in place, that the king of Babylon, when he saw the vision and all of that, Daniel was like, yo, you're going to have you're going to have years of prosperity, blah, 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 blah. And when the king started taking credit for it, Daniel came back and was like, listen, God said, God told me to come by here and let you know. You got to humble yourself, king. Or the financial system and the financial blessing and the vision and the revelation that he gave you of the prosperity that you're going to have, it's going to be taken from right out from under you, and he's going to show you that it has nothing to do with you and it has to do with the vision. All right? So several years ago, I was put in that predicament as well. Like I said, when I was in 2006, all love, cousin. In 2006, we have been working with and break the cycle since 1996. So 10 years we have been underground. So in 2006, I'm in a similar place. And I had already moved to Orlando. This was a year after I came down, called Craig, was like, yo, it's been revealed to me that I need to take my family and move to Orlando to try and go to a whole nother level with this outreach. All right. So the outreach that me and my family do and break the cycle, this is what we do. All right. We fight. We fight for the misused, the downtrodden. The first time we incorporated, we called it the Good Samaritans. So that gives you an idea of where our heart is. All right. The downtrodden, the abused, the stepped over. But we call it waste. So what we do is we come in and we collect resources that God has allowed us to tap into, and we put it in the lives of our people who being exploited and capitalized over. And over the years, as we've been faithful, he just been opening the doors and opening the doors. All right. So where we at right now is, after the financial crisis in 2008 and 2009, the top 1% of our economy have been making moves financially that there's no more middle class. All right. So 2008, 2009, people lost their houses, boom, boom, boom. So it's either you got bread, or you down here struggling. All right. But then mysteriously, like around 2011, 2012, I'm in a master's program. I'm in a master's program of business, MBA, get my MBA. So we study in markets. We're studying. I, I went to the school and got my master's degree in business. All right. So that I wouldn't just be out here in the streets trying to meet needs, but I could actually put financial systems in place, building blocks in place. We could put teams and pool real resources together, right? So as I'm in class, as I'm studying trends and markets, I'm seeing the haves make moves over here, and the whole middle economy of the country has been wiped out. Foreclosures, boom, 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 boom. So now I'm seeing our people over here, wages is stagnant. There's no jobs. And then over here, they in these alternative markets, and they in these, we seeing business booming over here. We seeing growth. And then there comes this digital Silk Road. Y'all listen to me. Silk Road. All right. And then they started getting into these simulated communities. They started launching these virtual reality sites where people could create life, create cities and create this and create personalities. But then they created an opportunity for people to exchange money in the simulated online community, while the regular everyday, our brothers and sisters out here starving. I got kids in the mentoring program, uh uh violence intervention mentoring program, and we lost half of the cats in our program just cause Yo, the families couldn't stay in their houses. They was losing. They was moved. They had to move in with grandma. They had to stack on top. So I'm seeing the streets is doing this, and I'm seeing these businesses over here is killing. So I started saying to myself and to our organization, God, you're going to have to open up a door to where we can expand these ministries to be able to meet the needs and break the cycles of the generational curses of poverty. That's the cycle we need to break, yo. We can't be at the mercy. And then in 2014, right? So in my gang intervention program in Chicago, while we have them playing basketball in a basketball league 3 times a week, we have them coming to the community center in an after school program, and we teach an economic empowerment, break the cycle based off of the Rich Dad Poor Dad book that came out in 1997 to teach basic financial principles that you're not going to get in school. So in 1997, I started adding the financial, and this game is the cash flow game that came out of those principles. So what better way than to get young people involved? Take a game, we play the game, we play the financial principles, then we analyze off of our day-to-day business that we put in their life, a car detailing business that Don Howard gave me in Oakwood. So I gave it to my shorties in Chicago, and we, boom. So we trying to break cycles. We trying to get them off the corner. We trying to get them out of the robbing, the stealing, the whatever, and give them positive. So this is where we've been since 97. So after the financial crisis, and I'm in the master's program, and I'm seeing the rich eating, and I'm seeing the poor get poorer. Lo and behold, I have an opportunity to go and see Robert Kiyosaki in person and listen to what he said. Listen to the charge and the challenge that he made to us, which started me building the thing that I'm celebrating here today. All right. He's going to say something in a room to us in 2015. The reason why I went there is because I have been teaching inner city people his financial principles since 1997, right? To give them a different perspective. But now after 2008 and 2009, the economy is terrible again, and I'm looking for some new, fresh material from Robert. This is why I went. Listen to what he said, which made me go back to work. And from this day to now, we just finished something that we launching that's going to put our people in place to literally break the generational curses of poverty. All right? Check it out. Listen to what he says. Then I'm going to show you some things about the economy. Hold up.
Something's wrong. And then I started to figure it out. So I started talking to my grandfather. And I found out the plantation system, because they brought them over there to Hawaii in the 1890s, 1880s. And the system was this. Instead of being slaves, they came over as indentured servants, paid slaves. So they come here to get a job at the plantation. Let's say they pay them $1 a day. which was high pay. At the end of the month, they had nothing. That was the plan. And the reason they had nothing is when they put them on the plantation, they put them up in plantation housing. And they charged them for the house. And since there was so remote, they only had one store, was the company store. So what would happen is my ancestors, the Japanese, would come in there, they'd work really hard, very good, hard-working people. And they get their $1 a day. But then when they went to collect, they didn't have checks in those, they had little envelopes they put money in. And they go back there and the envelope with nothing in it. Well, a couple of bucks. After 28 days of work. And the reason was nothing there was because they took it out for the house and they took it out for the food, the store. And nothing has changed. The reason the middle class is going broke is they work really hard. The money is already pulled out before they even get it. So the reason I'm glad you guys are here is time to take control of your life. No, don't be paid slaves anymore.
The reason I'm glad you're here is time for you to take control of your life. Don't be paid slaves. Now understand, he went to history first. He gave us a backdrop. And he's letting us know that there's a system that was put in place, a rigged system where you can work hard and at the end of the month not have anything. And where he's transitioning to is he's letting you know that even though people are no longer on the plantation, unless you take steps to get knowledge of how to build a financial statement, you will still be trapped in this system. And what I learned here in 2015 is the way to get you and your people. He is a testament to it. His people was indentured servants. He built a $1 billion financial education empire. His empire is off giving people information financially that the schools, the banks, and nobody in the system wants to give you. This is how he became a billionaire. And when I realized his people was in indentured servitude, he came up. We have tons of people in our communities, in our circles, who have come up and who, just like Robert Kiyosaki, have transformed their lives financially. So from 2015 to now, I have been partnering with individuals who come from where the people who I work with on the ground level come from, but have achieved freedom. And all I've been doing from 2015 to now is collecting the blueprints of these individuals and documenting where they came from. This person was from here, Baltimore. Financially, them, they brothers, they sisters, this is the situation of their family. And this is where they are. And they went from point A to point B because of these financial principles that they put in place that allowed them to go. Because it's one thing that our people know how to do. There is one thing that our people know how to do. And this is the dopest thing about what we doing in sports and finances. When you have a blueprint that you can give to our people like a playbook, they can run it and practice it and master it. So what I learned here is it is just, number one is the information is not being given. That's the first thing that Robert is willing to do. He's willing to give the people access to the information that they're withholding. That's number one. Then number two, when you take it and you interpret it in a way that our people can take it and run with it, he based his Rich Dad Poor Dad book off of the game of Monopoly. And then that's why he created the cash flow game, because so many people were used to playing the game of Monopoly. So because they understood the game of Monopoly, he then transitioned to create the cash flow principles of the Rich Dad Poor Dad in the style or the method that the people understand. So it clicked in me. I said, my people, our people, they understand how to show up, try out for a team, sit down at the feet of a coach, coach take them through drills. A coach say, over this period of time, I would like to see this amount of growth. Our people understand that. Our people is doing that. My shorties is doing that on the basketball court and the football field. I just need to figure out how to put this financial system in the same exact form and let them run with it. So what I'm celebrating is the 5 years from when I got out of the Masters with a business plan and then went to this thing, and then in retrospect been applying it to the outreach model that we've been doing. From that time to this, we celebrating a launch of our version of this. And on the night when I finished the ref, where it all came together, then my pops calls me and says, yo, God just put on my heart for me to do this outreach for people who have went to prison and came out of prison, to prevent them from going back into prison. So this is where my pops is trying right now. He just called me last night, and he not knowing that God just put a blueprint in my hand, finished the blueprint that I've been working on for 5 years. And so I'm laughing. So I'm documenting right here today. Over the next 60 days, we rolling out a launch of our version of the interpretation of this challenge. Now listen to what he gonna say. He gonna challenge everybody in the room to do something. Listen to this. And this is why I got started on what I'm launching here today. Listen to what he said. Listen to this.
And like Lincoln, Emancipation Proclamation, your job is to set other slaves free.
Did you hear it? Hold up.
No, they have little envelopes they put money in. And they go back. There was nothing there, was because we get it. So the reason I'm glad you guys are here is it's time to take control of your life. No, don't be paid slaves anymore. And like Lincoln, Emancipation Proclamation, your job is to set other slaves free.
Your job is to set other slaves free.
So for me, it's not about how much money I have. I have plenty of money. Making money is pretty easy. But I come to you today to assist you, ask you to assist us setting more slaves free.
I come to you today to ask you to assist us in setting other slaves free. And so he went into, I can't play it all. He went into four components. Okay, there's four categories of people that you're dealing with. You're dealing with employees, self-employed, small business, and investors. And then he said, you got to help get the people on the right side of money. That's from being employees and self-employed, because the system of indentured servitude that's in place is built and designed to cannibalize those on the left side of money, the employed and the self-employed. You gotta help me help set the slaves free and get them on the right side of money. And then he gave his investment blueprint. All right. So for the past 5 years, I've taken the four categories and the four fundamentals of the blueprint that he shared here in the room, and I took him up on the challenge because we was already in the business of breaking the cycle. All right. First thing I want you to know is the upheaval that's happening in Europe with the Brexitdous, with the Brexit. So supposedly the UK is trying to leave the European Union. Listen, y'all. Listen. This is once again order out of chaos. The ends justifies the means. The UK would never walk away. Would never walk away from the European Union. This is a financial union. The European Union was formed, and then they created a currency called the euro. This is the monetary policy of Europe, yo. And the number one foundation of the European economy is the London branch of the central banking system. It's the very first central bank. London was the main person at the table with the Vatican putting together the European Union, which is a financial consolidation that now has the global economy all connected. Prior to the 90s, if there was a problem in Germany, if there was a financial crisis in Germany, if there was a financial crisis in France, prior to the 90s and the European Union, if France's economy went down, France's economy would have went down. It wasn't until the European Union connected Japan, China, the USA. We all know London controls the Federal Reserve banking system of the US. The International Monetary Fund in New York, that's controlled by London. The World Bank in New York, come on, man. And what I'm trying to get y'all to understand is, and what Robert, he also said here, 2016 plus or minus 3 years, they're going to hit the people again. And he said, y'all gotta teach our people how to profit and come up when they come up in a crash. That's called financial knowledge, financial statement knowledge. So if you know that there's about to be another financial crisis, that means all of the prices going to come crashing down. If you have no financial knowledge, you're going to be probably scarred for life this time. But when you got financial statement knowledge, and when you know how to move funds like they moving funds right now, then when it all comes crashing down, they all running back into the market buying up stuff. What he's saying is, y'all need to put our people in position to where our people can go back into the market and come up when they come up. These millennials will either be scarred for life after the next financial crisis, or they will be set for life because we put them in position to just offer some basic knowledge, financial knowledge, to be able to weather a storm and rise when the market rises. Listen. Watch what he's going to tell you.
Today they don't work for people don't work for plantations, they work for corporations. They work for companies like Coca-Cola, IBM, Xerox, Google, Apple. Nothing wrong with that. You're still a paid slave. At the same time, the Federal Reserve Bank has printed $5 trillion in the last 5 years. Why in the hell would you work for money when they're printing money?
All right, so we talk about basic financial knowledge. Do y'all know what that means? Do y'all know why that's bad? When they print money and put money into the circulation, it causes the value of the dollar to go down. The more money that they print, and the more money that they push into circulation, because our system is based off of supply and demand. So when you flood the market, there's no value. When there's a high supply, when there is high demand and there's not a lot of supply, the value of anything increases. So the more that they print money, if you don't have some asset of value to counter losing value in your dollar, then by definition, you're headed towards poverty because the dollar is losing value. And then 2008, 2009, people lost their 401ks, people lost their houses, heading towards poverty. All you got is the paycheck, all you got is the dollars, and the value of the dollar is going down. And the next financial crisis, what he is telling you and what everybody is saying is, the value of the dollar could disappear, just like Venezuela. Venezuela right now, they out of there because their dollar is worth nothing. Zimbabwe and Africa, same thing. And his financial educational system and our financial educational system, since going here, the goal is to educate our people that they are real real, tangible assets. I'll give you an example. One of the things he said is, I never invest in the stock market. I never invest in the stock market. He said, you know what I invest in? He said the silver coin is $20 right now. The silver coin is $20. Everybody got $20. Silver and gold never loses value. And the silver coin is worth $20. But when the dollar goes down, the value of silver and gold go up. So if you buy, he like, listen, man, we every pay period, you need to be telling people take $100, $50, whatever you can stand. Get the silver. The silver would never lose its value. So if something happened to, God forbid, if something happened to the dollar, you could go to your $20 silver coin. Now today they'll be $100. And then the people who have done that, if something does happen in the financial crisis and the dollar ain't worth nothing, they could go into the store with the silver coin. And this is what the rich are doing. This is what they're doing. So we created an online community. An online community. We did this back in 2006 for industry professionals to network and get noticed. All right. So now we coming back with that same platform, and we created a financial educational knowledge platform simulator on real life day-to-day activities with real life exchanges and markets where people can actually exchange all of the stuff that he put in his plan, or can simulate. If you don't have real money to exchange, you can go on to the exchange in the simulation model and learn the principles like you do in the board game. I'm gonna show you. We even got platforms connected with Fifth Third Bank where we got young people coming to these community centers, sitting down, and they're the owner of a food truck. And they have to buy the supplies. They gotta purchase the truck. They got to outfit it to serve the food. They got to do everything. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every time they come, they got to balance. Listen, man. And then just like the euro, and just like they're creating these sites where they taking and they moving their money into silver and gold and into Bitcoin and all of that, we put these same principles in reach of our people. And our people who don't have internet and don't have computers, we have a component within our foundation, our organization, that's subsidizing, that's investing in those who don't have the ability to do that. Those of us who have, we investing in this outreach mechanism, and then we still make available to those who don't have the ability. And all we require then is that they then mentor. Then they become a part of the organization. They become a part of the cycle breaking process. Listen to what he say that we should be doing though. Listen.
No, you may laugh about it, but look, how frickin' stupid are the American people? How can you sit there and let the Federal Reserve Bank print trillions of dollars, and then you go to school and they tell you, work hard and save money? Why the hell would you work for money when they're printing it? Do you know how stupid that is? Your job is to print your own money. So that's all Rich Dad taught me.
When he said your job is to print your own money. Your job is to print your own money. Once again, I'm in a master's program, right? I'm getting my MBA at the time. So I go back and I'm digging in the crate. I'm like, this man said, yo, these people are literally printing their own money. These people literally. And then they have systems in place where they go. And the millionaires and the billionaires that they're creating millionaires and billionaires in Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is where they launch tech companies. And these tech companies, then they come out and then they go and they put these mentoring, investment, ascension programs together. And they have a online startup giant, the gentleman that made Reddit, the young guys that created Twitter and launched Twitter on the New York Stock Exchange. Then they come back and they have ascension programs where they're taking little 15-year-old kids and they're exposing them to the skills that it took for them to launch a Silicon Valley tech startup company and then invest in alternative currencies. Why? Because they all know that the dollar is under threat. And the only community out here that is the bedrock of entertainment, that is the bedrock of fashion, is the bedrock. The NFL had 164 million people watch the NFL Sunday. That was more people than voted for the president. 164 million Americans watched the Super Bowl. 85% of the NFL is us. And 5 years after our people leave the NFL, they are broke and bankrupt. So not only are the poorest of our people lacking financial statement knowledge, but even our people that touch wealth don't know anything about how to create and leave generational wealth, or reverse the generational curses of poverty. And I am telling you that we sat in a room in 2015, and a billionaire that came from indentured servitude and built an empire off of educating people financially, then said, your job is to help us set other slaves free. And you should be printing your own money. And when I went and looked at it, all around the country, all around the world, they are creating people going into the top 1%, while at the same time they're putting on this sham of Brexit, and all of that's doing is causing financial stress to individuals that don't have a plan in place. So we put a plan in place. We've put an ascension program in place. It's called the Havillah Road. Before the Silk Road was, do y'all know what the Silk Road was? The Silk Road connected North Africa, Egypt, all the way to Asia Minor. Place, it even states the place in the word, Sardis. And it goes all the way through Persia, once again, I'm telling y'all about our financial blueprint. When you connect Egypt to Persia, that's Joseph, Daniel. God revealed in Daniel chapter 2 the hierarchy of kingdoms. We talk about finances. We talking about crowns and powers. We talk about political intrigue, Brexit, and the European Union and the Euro, and this is financial. Our financial blueprint is in the Havillah Road. The Silk Road is the first time that the West touched bread. That's why they point to the Silk Road. But the Havillah Road. So my dad, Frankie Leggett, he used to do a Daniel and Revelation seminar twice a year in his churches. Twice a year. I thought all pastors did that. I really did. It wasn't until I got to Pine Forge and got around other pastors' kids, and I realized that they didn't have access to that information like that. Obviously, their parents wasn't doing. My pops faithfully Daniel and Revelation every 2 years, twice a year, faithfully. But my takeaway from hearing the Daniel and Revelation and hearing the hierarchy of the nations and the kingdoms, that's what Daniel and Revelation is. God revealed Babylon, Medes and the Persians, Greece, Rome. After Rome, the 10 tribes of Europe. After the 10 tribes of Europe, a stone cut without hands. It's going to shut it all down. That was my takeaway. Stone cut without hands. So then when you see Europe create a European Union in the 90s. At the same time, well, the U.S. switches to a financial situation where they outsource all manufacturing, called globalization. This is not a coincidence, y'all. Globalization outsourced the thing that gave people of color great jobs. My grandfather was able to move out of the projects in Trenton, New Jersey, start his own real estate company. He was able to get out of the projects, get into a finance, because he worked at General Motors making cars. General Motors, 35 years, invested in his family, invested in real estate, was able to finance and send his son to college. And in the 90s, they started outsourcing all of that. So from the 90s to now, and at the same time, simultaneously, London set up shop in Hong Kong. Listen, everything that the Chinese do, y'all, everything that the Chinese do, if you follow the pattern of colonialism, it was the US, India, and colonized the US. I take that back. Africa, 1885, India, China. In that order. Americas, Africa, India, China, Asia. And the headquarters of the West and colonialism, imperialism, and especially starting in the 90s, once they created the euro, they created the Hong Kong Bank of Shanghai, HSBC. Everything that they do business-wise, these economies are connected, and we feeling the pressure. And the U.S. economy don't have no way to relieve the pressure now. And they all playing in all of these other currencies. They playing in all of these other markets. So, because my community got so much talent, what the Silk Road did was connect all of the merchants from Egypt to... So what we gonna do is connect. Our people in the 90s, they created a inner city league called the N1 Mixtape Tour. Y'all remember? It was no internet though. And he created the N1 Mixtape Tour, and they shot VCR tapes, and they marketed it and launched. They still got the fashion line, but they don't have a league no more. That's called an opportunity for us to come back, take wasted talents and resources, reinvest in them, and then as now they have a source of income. Number one, we keeping them off the streets and we keeping them out of trouble. Because to play on a higher elite level, pro level, that we go on film and all that, you got to come to practice. You got to commit. You got to be all in. I just told you we went to Full Sail University. We got masters. My father went to the same university for film. This is a whole these are whole industries. This is an industry because there's an industry of young people who are technologically savvy, who are going to college and graduating, and they going back to work in the restaurant industry for less than what they worth, and they got debt. And we can use their skills and ingenuity in the digital age to get behind the camera, to sit behind a computer and edit, learn a skill in programming. So not only do we control the product, meaning the actual athlete, that's compensation, that's investment, but we also control the talent to broadcast it and film it and produce it. And then there's another stream to market it. Floyd Money Mayweather is the model that we attached to what Robert Kiyosaki gave us. He said you should be printing your own money. And when he said print your own money, I said print your own money. Then I looked at what they doing, and then I looked at an example in our community what did Floyd Money Mayweather do? He said, I'm going to tell y'all, he bought out his contract with Top Rank Boxing. The structure of pro sports, of the entertainment industry, of everything is indentured servitude. They are glorified employees. Top Rank Boxing would market, would promote, would do everything. And they would say, you get in the gym, we gonna put on everything, and then when it's time for fight, you show up, we gonna pay you a cut. We gonna take the lion's share, everything, we gonna pay you a cut. Floyd said, how much it's gonna cost for me to stay pro and be off of Top Rank Boxing? They said $900,000. He was 21 years old. 900,000. Now the man worth $775 million. And that's all that Robert Kiyosaki was trying to get us to actively go and teach our people. Don't be an indentured servant. He just told y'all that's being a slave. He said, and if the Federal Reserve is printing money, and if the euro is printing money, and then you got other political entities causing financial upheaval that causes the economy to crash, I want y'all to help us set other slaves free. And we got busy. So I'm here to tell y'all. We on a schedule, right? We've done this before. This ain't new. So, you see what this says? It says a launch. So just like a rocket that they're going to send into outer space, they put a date on the calendar and they make the preparations to launch. So I'm telling all of y'all, get ready. It's going to be a process. And it's going to be a one-stop shop environment where everything that we do The number one thing that has always been complained about in our community, and Dr. Martin Luther King lost his life trying to get our people to see this in 1964. Dr. Martin Luther King said, we are the eighth largest, the wealth that comes into our hands puts us at number 9 in the world. This was in the 60s. But the problem is, he said, we don't have no system in place to where we cause that wealth to bounce between us as a baker over here, us as a fashion designer over here, us as a manufacturer over here. We don't have no systems in place to where all of this wealth that's coming, and he said it was $69 billion annually coming in, and they counting that the dollar is bouncing 23 and 24 times in the other communities, and it ain't bouncing one time in our community. And then when I listened to what Robert Kiyosaki said, and you know what was crazy? You know what was crazy? The same day that Robert Kiyosaki was there on Sunday with this challenge. And we have been so serious about this break the cycle thing. The same weekend, we had did a 90-day game plan. A 90-day game plan for a core of business people in our community who already was breaking the generational curses of poverty in a company. One of these ladies is known as the millionaire maker, Lisa Nicole Cloud. Another dude, Tupac the Rent-A-Court from Brooklyn, he done made 18 millionaires. I'm saying we already in the room because we trying to help individuals, help our people break the generational curse of poverty. We did our event on Thursday night, and Robert Kiyosaki was there on Sunday. And then when Robert Kiyosaki said, yo, I just want y'all to help us set other slaves free. And he said, if they printing money, why would you work for money and save money? Your job is to print your own money. And he said, you print your own money by building the best, greatest financial statement. Do y'all know what a financial statement is? A financial statement is you have income and expenses, assets and liabilities. Income, expenses, assets, and liabilities. He said you gotta buy assets. And the system is designed to teach you that your 401k is an asset, your home is an asset. The system is designed to make you be an indentured servant for life. Your home ain't an asset. And a 401k, he got a book out right now. They Stole the Pensions. That's a book he just dropped this year. In 2008, 2009, listen, all of them pilots who flew for American Airlines, nothing. Firefighters, police officers. Wall Street has, listen, y'all. When you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So from that day to this day, we ain't just been coming in here talking. Listen, man. the successful business plan. Everything that man showed us that we could do to build a financial statement, we've taken it. We put in the time to understand and study historically all of the places in history where they have doubled down on the indentured servitude. During the reason JFK lost his life, part of the main reason why JFK lost his life, JFK tried to undercut the Federal Reserve printing the dollar, and he issued a silver coin in the spirit of Abraham Lincoln issuing the greenback. And if y'all don't know, that's what got Abraham Lincoln assassinated. Abraham Lincoln knew that the bankers and the money changers was investing in both sides in the Civil War. And they had a noose around his neck like, yeah, yo, we'll lend to you, but we're going to give it to you at 35%. Talk about to pay his soldiers. To pay the military, they was going to lend it to him, but he was going to have to borrow at 35%. Abraham Lincoln went to the U.S. Treasury and printed a whole nother set of currency called the greenback. Undercut the Federal Reserve, paid his troops, and then what he did was he went and made Congress make it acceptable for people to pay their taxes with it. And once they made it acceptable to pay your taxes with it, it was legitimate currency. Prosperity flowed. They assassinated him. They assassinated him. JFK minted a silver coin and put silver coin into circulation. They shut that down, and then Nixon came right behind him in 72 and took us off the gold standard, y'all. Listen, man, why would a president who had your best financial interests at heart take your financial stability off of your insurance? Gold has never lost value. Silver never lose value. Why would they take you off of that? It's called artificial, unnatural, man-made disasters, y'all. And if we don't put our people in position, Robert Kiyosaki said he made more money in his whole life in 2008 and 2009. He made the most money ever in his life after that crisis. And what I'm saying is, for all of us who are in this game to break cycles and change lives, we born to weather storms and say to the world what Joseph said: what you meant to harm me, God worked out for my good. What you intended to harm me, this is what we're supposed to be doing. So we took the lead. We went to school. We got some ability. We got the ability to write business plans. We got the ability to write curriculums. And they gave us a blueprint. And this is nothing new, y'all. This ain't nothing new. There's a book called Think and Grow Rich. Andrew Carnegie. He did the same thing. He went all around the country. And wrote a book about the principles of the people of their day who had a blueprint to generate the type of wealth that they generated. And since I got out of this room right here, and because I have been connected to all of these individuals who was going all around the country, these cats go around the country, inspiring people to build a financial legacy to lead to their children. People of color. In 1 year, they did $200 million. In one year, next year they came back and did $185 million. I stopped keeping count. Listen, man, I just need these blueprints. So I'm here to let our people know we could do the same exact things in our communities better because we got real assets. They going into cryptocurrencies and all of that, but they had to manufacture people to come and trade and exchange. We got people who got real talent. We got some of the best singers in the world. All we saying is we're going to come and we're going to give our people, just like our people got Apple Pay, just like our people got Cash App, we digitally creating an app and a point of exchange and the currency. So not only can we keep our currency bouncing in our community, but then we can exchange the currency for every other currency. You could go into Forex with it. You can go into gold with it. You can go into silver with it. You can go into Ethereum. You can go into Bitcoin. You could bring it out. You could dump it into cash while cash is still good. You could come back into our market. And the dopest thing about this system, this is what really, really, really took it over the top. My man Manny Jean Louis, that I graduated from Pine Forest with, he sent me a link to one of ET's sermons. So for all y'all that don't know, and it was dope because E's church is called A Place for Change. I love it. A place for change? Come exchange with me gold tried in the fire. A place for change? So anyway, there's a text in Deuteronomy. I think it's Deuteronomy chapter 18. So my man Manny, he hears the joint and he sends it to me. He like, yo, Dame, I ain't never really heard this perspective on tithing. ET just went somewhere on tithing and I never really heard this perspective before. Now, mind you, for 5 years, I'm digging in the crates on the financial system, the in the beginning system. That's what movement I'm on. In the beginning. If whatever you're trying to sell us is not in the beginning, because that's where the word is. In the beginning was the word. And the word was God. And the word was with God. And the word became flesh. In the beginning. If it ain't in the beginning. But in the beginning, when he made the covenant with Eve, he told her. And this land that I'm giving you, he said, it's called the land of Cush. And then he identified the financial benefits of him placing them there. He said, in it, in the land of Cush, to the west of the land of Cush, he said, is Havillah. And the good gold of Havillah is there. And the onyx stone. So God introduced a financial economy with the birthright. He can't tell you to bring first fruits of your hands, first fruits. He can't tell you to bring and not give you an economy to base your faithfulness off of. Well done, my good and faithful servant. You've served me. So the text in Deuteronomy 18 says, when you get your 10%, I believe it's 18. I don't know if it's 18 or 13. I'm going off the top. So when you take your 10%, and when you come to the place, and if it's a far off place, listen, the third festival of the year is the Feast of Tabernacles. So this tithe was for the third harvest. The harvest of the olive oil and the wine. And he was telling them, take that harvest, convert your tithe that you're going to give me, not that you're going to give me, convert your 10% into silver. Because the Feast of Tabernacles was a moving date with the Most High. That's why his name is Emmanuel. God dwells with us. It's a moving date. And he said, convert it, the amount that your harvest is worth, convert it to silver, bring that 10%, and then when you get there, cut whatever you want. He didn't say get a tithe to me. He said come and listen. Our economy is based off of our economy, our financial economy that we putting back in place with this system, yo. That's just one component of the economy. In another total separate text in Leviticus, he said, when you do the other two harvests, leave the corners. Leave 25% on the ground. As a reminder to those who is poor among you, to the stranger, that being in the covenant, this is what happens when you're in the covenant. So listen, that's 25%. So God like, yo, if you're already following and faithful, when you get to the third harvest, that 10%, come buy whatever you want. But that's an economy, that's a stimulus in the economy. That is the component that everybody that I know complains that, yo, our dollar don't never circulate in our community. That's because we not in our financial covenant with the Most High. Built into our financial covenant is annually everybody would bring their 10%. So if you was the person who made the fashion in Israel, if I was the chariot maker in Israel, somebody else was the olive oil producer, somebody else was the wine producer, somebody else had the barley harvest, somebody else had the wheat harvest, somebody else sheared the sheep, somebody else was the architect that built the homes, somebody else was the baker. Everybody was a different merchant. So everybody was bringing a 10%. So who was you exchanging with when he said, come and buy whatever it is you want? You are exchanging with your other brothers and sisters. You are exchanging with You're breaking bread amongst each other, and you are enriching in each other. That is our system. The Aeolians, phase 1, creative arts, dynamic praise, try Christ, and the thousands of business people in our community when we launched this network, the first people coming online, we doing Break the Cycle 2.0. We doing Bell Tower 2.0. We doing Phase 1 2.0. We doing Creative Arts 2.0. I created a business in 1999. 1999 when I had my daughter. I'm still in Huntsville. 1999, I went down there. I still got the articles of incorporation. I still got the business license right now. It's called Fashion Statement. God revealed back then, y'all need to compete for this image, man. How New York got a fashion week? How London got a fashion week? How Tokyo got a fashion week? How I don't have a fashion week? I say you created in my image, after my likeness created he them. How I don't have no fashion week? December the 8th through the December 16th, annually. 2020 is our very first Hollywood Fashion Week. And if y'all ain't at Fashion Week, y'all playing yourself. So if you got Fashion Week in 2020, means we launching fashion lines, right? You can't have Fashion Week and fashion show without the lines, right? That's what the Havillah Road is. The Havillah Road is our people who are already in business. You come, you exchange, you convert your cash into the Havillah coins that we exchange in our marketplace. It's identical to the Israelites when they came to the temple to bring their offering. They had a totally separate, I'm telling you, our financial system is already in place. This is why the king turned over the tables of the money changers, because he had already provided a separate economy, and then they came into the economy that he had created. The temple coin is what it was called. We just call it the Havillah coin. He like, I done gave my people. This is why when they tried to ask him about the tax, he said, all right, go ahead. Go bring me the fish. Give me the coin out of his mouth. What do I think about Caesar demanding the tax? Who face on the coin? Who face on it? They answered the question. They said Caesar face on it. He still ain't answered whether it was proper for Caesar to tax his people or not. He just said, well, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. If Caesar created that and put his face on that, then give it to Caesar. He created that. Did Caesar create my people? Did Caesar create my people? My people got a separate coin that don't have his face on it. He answered the question. We just don't understand the message that he is trying to tell us. He is telling us even in taxes. He don't have authority. They don't have authority to tax my people. My people is made in my image, after my likeness. Created. I created them. That's why he asked them, who face on it? Well, give to Caesar that which Caesar, but to God. Anytime you hear a but, y'all English, y'all should know it erases everything before it. But to God that which is God's. I'm just letting y'all know. When we apply that which we have been given, we ain't talking about going to war. We not talking about protesting. We ain't protesting nothing. We ain't got to protest nothing. Protest for what? Civil rights movement for what? Ain't no civil right. He gave us a birthright. There's nothing higher than the birthright. And then he gave us dominion. Then he said, be fruitful, replenish the earth, and subdue it. If y'all go look up subdue, that means rule over it. How you got to seek for a civil right? Listen, the game that they run on y'all, the game that the West runs on y'all. See, God's children are the greatest of the kings of the East. Have always been. The sun rises in the east. Daniel turned to the east and prayed to the east. God put the angel in the east of the garden. And the Garden of Eden was in the east. And he planted his angel in the east of the tree of life. That's why Daniel prayed to the east. And then the three wise men who came with bearing the fruits of our economy, the Havillah gold. This is the same coin that I'm giving us. The Havillah gold. The same gold that he made when he gave the birthright to Eve. In Cush, in Genesis chapter 2, he said, there in the land of Havillah. The land of Havillah was Adam's first fruit blessing. The land of Cush represented Eve's birthright blessing. And they both, when they entered into a marriage covenant of vow, one thing that the man always gives to the woman is a dowry. In exchange for the dowry, the woman gives the fruitfulness of the womb to the man to present to God as the first fruits of the womb. So, the financial expansion of the man's territory is what is the dowry that is given to the bride in exchange for the bride giving an unblemished fruit in the image of the Most High that potentially could be the Messiah. That is the exchange. He said, come exchange with me gold tried in the fire. Adam, get that woman, that good gold of Havillah. Eve, get that man, the first fruit of the womb, the birthright. And I'll put enmity between that seed and the serpent seed. This is a financial economy that can't be touched, can't be challenged. And we letting these imposters, challenge our woman's everlasting. That dowry that's supposed to be deposited in exchange for them giving us these children. It's no way in the world I'm shortchanging my bride over the children that she gave me. It's no way in the world. It's no way in the world after the children that I got. There's no way in the world that her crown is going to be subject to any crown. There's no way in the world. But none of my sisters, none of my auntie, none of my people that groomed us and put us in it, none of her auntie, none of her people that groomed and raised us. It's no way in the world that my people is in abject poverty. There's no way in the world that my people is exploited. There's no way in the world that they don't know that they got the same covenant. There's no way in the world that our people don't know that I will cause you to rise upon the high places of the earth and feed you with the heritage. What? These people still telling the lies of these Black History Months. They still telling the lies. Because it perpetuates the system. I ain't never played when I put it on. Never. And the dopest thing about this day, the first film my dad wrote. First film my dad wrote. I told you, twice a year, this man used to do a Daniel and Revelation seminar. I really thought every pastor, I promise you, I thought every pastor did that. I thought that was standard operating procedure. I thought every Adventist pastor put up a tent effort and went out into the hood and the highways and the byways and knocked on doors and did an evangelistic series every year and a Daniel and Revelation seminar twice a year. I thought they all did it. And when I got to Pine Forge Academy, I realized, yo, Pop's doing something different. Pop's doing something different. Then when I'm telling y'all how we got here. I got to Pine Forge Academy, camp meeting, 2014. 2014, I get to Pine Forge Academy, and listen, I have never went and worked a camp meeting as an adult. But I went back and worked the junior youth tent, the whole camp meeting that year. Ran the junior youth tent. And I go down to the senior youth tent after finishing with the shorties. I go down to the senior youth tent. And listen, man. They preaching some left field, some coexistence, listen. They don't have no explanation for the attack on the marriage, the attack on the young people identifying their sexual identity. Let's say that. That was the message that night. And the same way they hem and haw all over the globe, they was hemming and hawing at the Allegheny East in 2014. At the senior youth tent. And that was the first time in my life that I realized the stuff that was being preached in the Daniel and Revelation seminar every year when I was a shorty, twice a year, was being fulfilled in front of my very eyes. The last 8 chapters in this book talk about the United States reaching hands across the Gulf to shake hands with Catholicism. The last 8 chapters of this book is a synopsis of Daniel and Revelation. a summary. And in 2014 was the first time where I realized, son, he wasn't preaching for a far off generation. The Most High let me know in 2014, yo, this is battle time, bro. Talk about all that alienation. You talk about all, where you at? Where you at? You live in this world, not of this world. This world is not your home. Where you at? Where you at? I had always deferred. I had always deferred because I gave individuals the benefit of the doubt who were ordained. They signed up for this, yo. They signed up to preach. And because I knew my pops always went hard, I just thought everybody was going hard. I gave them individuals the benefit of the doubt. But the Most High, like, yo, bruh, if you look at my cities across the country, just pay attention. Matter of fact, I'm about to send your son down to Oakwood next year. I got one better for you. Got one better for you. Send your son down to Oakwood. And I'm going to let your son get preached to the same way they get preached to all around the country. Now I'm going to see if you're going to... Now we're going to see alienation. Let me see if you're going to sit back and watch them undercut everything that I told you to put in them. And he laid me on my back in 2016. Laid me on my back. And when I was laying on my back in ICU for 3 weeks, I said, you will never catch me sitting. You will never catch me a day sitting, not waging war. I wasn't lying when I said we raging war. It's a war going on outside. No man is safe. They're raging war on your spirits. It's a war going on outside. No man is safe. The impending conflict, the final battle of this age, when Lucifer sparked the war on God's law, he set the stage for the cosmic annihilation of rebellion to be engaged. Then the rebel was dropped the level. Eternal darkness would be his cage. Now he's a warring dragon on this earth that's filled with rage. The Spirit blessed me with this gift to spit the prophetic 12 gauge, to tear down sinful barricades built by satanic renegades. They're why this world is not my home. These filthy streets I'm forced to roam. Got a goal to claim my throne. I'm no longer the devil's clone. Since the Spirit blessed my poem, I pray it sinks inside your dome. I'm of the alien nation. Saving souls is our occupation. When I tell you we first responders, we ain't just become first responders. Yo, that's chapter 36. That's chapter 36, the impending conflict. So when I come and I tell you that my father wrote a film in the 90s, and he wrote me into the script, and it's called The Seer. All my life, he has been revealing where he wants me to go and stand and fight. All my life. All my life. I don't know if it's because of that moment in 2014 where he knew I was going to be in a company of Ministers ordained? Y'all know it's a parable where the king asked a question. He said, the king had two sons. He goes to the first son and he says, go into the vineyard. And the first son says, I will go, but doesn't go. Then he goes to the second son and he says, go into the vineyard. And the second son says, I ain't going. I ain't going. But then later on, he goes into the vineyard and does the work. He said, who is the better of the sons? These are Pharisees you talking to. These are the Pharisees who said, all that you have said, we will do. On the second set of commandments, though. After already worshiping the golden calf after he just brought him out of slavery and bondage. On the second set of commandments, after already disrespecting the Most High, all that you say we will do. Then this the same ones who get into the promised land after he overlooked the first disrespect. They get into the promised land and say, give us a king like all the other nations. So now he's asking them. He's asking them, who's the better of the sons? The one who says all that you have said we will do and then don't do nothing? Or the one who say, yo, I ain't with you. I ain't getting ordained. I ain't no preacher. But go do the work. They said the second son is better. You right. And you ain't it. That's what being ordained is. That's what being ordained is, sitting up in front of our babies and coexisting and trying to be like everybody else. Oh, we ain't trying to preach. You know what we trying to do? Do the work of our Father. You know what we trying to do? He said, I must be about my Father's business. You know what the Father's business is? He said, I have written on the fleshly tablets of your heart. Come on, y'all. Hold up. Hold up. He like, I've written the plays. He said, I will give you the desires of your heart. If we connect the dots of what he's saying he has given us, he said, now, after I done came and finished this work, I ain't going to let them mess it up again. He said, now, this time, I done came and showed you the blueprint on, I'm going to write. I'm not going to write in stone this time. I'm going to write my command, my law, my covenant. I'm going to write my covenant with you on the fleshly, on the flesh of your heart. I will give you the desires of your heart, and I'm going to write on the flesh of your heart the covenant I got with you. You can't, listen, you can't mess that up. How can you mess it up? I must be about my Father's business. I came to set the captives free. He that is set free is free indeed. I have set you free. Now do not be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. It is unnatural in every way, shape, or form. Unnatural for us to be bound in any way. Bound in any way. Our marriage is bound. Our health bound. Our finances bound. Our spirits bound. We are four-dimensional beings. built on the cornerstone. Their satanic attack on you is three-dimensional for the Trinity, the counterfeit image that they want to give you. That's the only battle going on. The world is busy selling you an identity in a fake counterfeit Trinity. And their financial system, and their educational system, and their churches, and their schools, and everything is on this fake counterfeit Trinity that elevates Egypt, elevates Babylon, elevates Rome, elevates Greek, and our people don't have the sense to say like Daniel, I will not partake of nothing you got on the table, homie. So we call it a hate waste fast. Hate waste fast. And we call this work of replenishment the layer cycle. We find our people who need to break the cycle. And once we get them in the pipeline, you in the layer cycle. Once we get you in the pipeline, it's ascension. It's transformation. It's transfiguration. Dazzling transfiguration. That's what the finances got to be. In all four categories. That's what your marriage has got to be. The covenant is the marriage. The sanctuary is the marriage. The financial blueprint is the marriage. The exchange is the marriage. The covenant, the example of how to practice the covenant with God is you practice it in the home, in the marriage. You're not practicing in church. Church is where you come to work, to do the work of the Father. Church is where you come to nurse the lost that you found in the highways and the byways and give them what somebody else gave you when you was in that situation. That's where you go to church. You go to church to work. The sick have need of a physician. That is a hospital and infirmary for the sick. I have not come to call the righteous, but the wicked, the sick. Our people have let them flip the gospel into a worthless entertainment ritual where we go to be served. After 30 years, homie, after 30 years, yo, you don't see nothing wrong with still going in that inverted. Where you get it from? This is why our people is in bondage, because it ain't the gospel. This is why we losing to individuals who have lost to God all throughout history. I refuse to lose, yo. I refuse to lose. I've never been on a team that's lost. I don't know how to accept it. I don't know how to do it. We won't do it. So, we got a financial economy. Yo, my pops, I'm about to call my pops. My pops called me yesterday. He didn't know about this. My man Craig knew. I always reveal it to my peoples so that when I go public, they got a date and time where they're like, yo, he already declared that God revealed it to him. My pops called me yesterday like, yo, we got to do something about this cycle, this recidivism. The dopest thing about my circle, though, I got a dude named John Moore down in Atlanta. Did 19 years. 19 years in prison for a crime he ain't commit. 19 years, man. Left Pine Forest, went down to Oakwood as a sophomore at Oakwood. Them boys killed somebody and jumped in John's car. He ain't go in the apartment. He ain't know it went down. But when they jumped in the car and then they having a conversation and he got the knowledge that they killed somebody in there. And because he ain't go to the authorities, John did 19 years. I got another, my brother, Spider, 10 years in Cali. I got my first cousin, 20 years in California. My mother's nephew that she never got to see before she passed away. Went into prison like 16. 20 years. And my pops gonna call me and talk about he wanna do something about our people going in and out. I got some of the best testimony, got some of the best testimonies of transfiguration, of God holding them down, of yo. And then Pops talk about, yo, I gotta try and find this money, man. Look, like every last one of these ministries, y'all. Every last one of these ministries, we're gonna come to the Havillah Road like we all come to Facebook. You're gonna create a wallet. You're gonna create a profile. You're gonna identify your merchant status. But most importantly, every last individual on the Havillah Road, whether you are a nonprofit organization, whether you're a profit organization, whether you're an artist, whether you're an athlete, whatever, everybody gets the same financial business plan with these principles. This is the difference. Our people go into the NFL, they get hired by billionaires who have a financial system in place. And then they have a nerve to allow our people to play for them. 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. NBA and NFL. NFL is worse though. Because the NBA, they making big bread. NFL, only the quarterbacks is making bread. Then our people is leaving the NFL broke and bankrupt after 5 years. That's what we call waste. So all we're going to do is the 80% of our community who is still in our neighborhoods, who played on them same teams with all of them NFL players right there. When we teach financial principles in the 80%, and they're doing better financially, when we take babies in the inner city, Snoop started a youth football league in LA. And I told my son, my 7-year-old, this year, we're going to launch a youth football league. The first football league. I played in the same league at the same time. My dream was to play football and basketball. The only thing stopped me was the Sabbath. And I told my son this year, you gonna play with Uncle Spider's kids. Uncle Spider's kids play in Snoop's football league. For 14 years, our kids been playing. They ain't getting no economic empowerment. They ain't getting no inspiration. They ain't getting no transfiguration. They ain't getting no transformation. They got to pay to play. And they still got a pipeline going right into the indentured servitude, where if they're good enough to play in the NFL, they still unprepared for life. So now they're gonna have to compete with a league in basketball and football. that not only invest, but then takes the young people from the time they 7 all the way up through high school and into college, and has a separate standalone pro league after college. So if they don't want to go to the NFL and NBA, we got the N1 mixtape tour model out here that we know make bread all over the country, fills up arenas all over the country. So we're going to resurrect the N1 mixtape tour. We're going to create a brand new NFL league. And then over the next 14 years, we're going to say to our people, this is what your economy will look like if people had your best interests at heart. By you being in the Havillah Road, now your responsibility is to take the lessons and the principles that you learned and apply them. When we go to the harvest with the 10% of your earnings that you got, and every October when we go and tabernacle, bring your 10%. And break bread amongst our people on the Havillah Road. And I enrich you, you enrich me, and we enrich them. And every year we're going to find a new crop and a new harvest of brand new people in the highways and the byways to harvest into the Havillah Road and give them back their principles, their financial principles. Got it? So all y'all got to do is listen out. It's 2 coins. It's 2 coins. The single eye BTC. Do y'all know that Bitcoin has this acronym, BTC? That's what Bitcoin stands for. Let me show y'all something real quick. Let me show you how important this is, y'all. Let me show y'all how important this is. Once again, listen to what Robert warned us about the financial crisis. Financial crisis looming. Now I'm going to show you all of the money 700,000 new millionaires was made in 2017. 700,000 in the US alone. This is telling you that they have a separate financial ascension program outside of the reach of our people. If our people are facing this financial crisis, but just 2 years ago, they created 700,000 new millionaires, top 1%. Our number one goal should be to figure out how we can compete. How we compete and insert our people into the marketplace. All we saying is, yo, my people gonna have a seat at the table. That's what we saying. If y'all creating 700,000 new millionaires prior to a Great Depression, my people got to be seated at the table too. That's all we saying. We gonna have to compete. Ain't about to be no monopoly. And then my people staring down financial crisis? Nah. And we got the power with all of the resources and all of the talent that we have in just our community to lead listen, we got people in our network in every city across the nation. In some form of business, in some sort of whatever. And all we got to do is come together and show our people, yo, we united. We united in making sure that the people where we came from weather this storm unscathed. That's what the Havillah Road is about.
about is when we're talking about fear, the thing I'm always curious about is when we're talking about fear, Robert, what is the biggest difference between fear today versus fear 50 years ago versus fear 100 years ago versus fear 20 years ago? Isn't this a common thing? Like when market does well, economy does well, a few people are prepared for it, most people kind of sit around, don't do anything about it. What's changed? And is that going to be happening 50 years from now, 100 years from now, where people capitalize and most don't?
Well, that's a fabulous question because, today, when I refer to 2008, most people remember 2008. Do you know what I mean? That's when Lehman went down, Bear Stearns went down.
38% drop.
Yeah, they all remember it. But when I started Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the only thing they had was the Depression. I came out in 1997, Rich Dad, Poor Dad came out. And their only reference points was the Depression. And none of the people I talked to remember the Depression. So the fear today, I think people are a little bit wiser, is because they do remember 2008, and they do remember 2000. So 2008, 2000, 2008, and here we are today. So I think most people are at least kind of tuned in. I hope it doesn't come down, but I'm afraid it will. That's what I have to say.
Most people are more tuned in today because it was only 12 years ago when the last market crash happened. I remember 08. 08 was pretty ugly. We started our agency a year later in 09. And
That's the smartest thing you could have done.
Yeah, believe me, it benefited us because we got a contract with AIG at the time and a few insurance companies, and we started growing, but everybody was scared. And a part of, the business for us is fear sharpens listening. If you're able to monetize on fear, you can really do some stuff when the market changes.
I want to say what you did was really, really smart because the best time to start a business is right after a crash. I made more money after 2008 than ever in my whole entire life because everybody was hiding like little cockroaches.
Wow, you made more money after 2008 than your entire life.
Yeah, so when, here I'm talking about the coming depression, everybody's,
He wasn't the only one who made more money in 2008. Listen, the reason that the economy keeps crashing, they call it the business cycle. That's what they call it. The business cycle. You hear him talk about bear and bull markets. Bull is when it's rising, bear is when it's crashing. So just about every 10 years, they taking us through a roller coaster financially. No doubt, bro. A roller coaster financially, and it's our job to take our people off the roller coaster. God's children ain't never been at the mercy of no roller coaster. What you intended to harm me, God worked out for my good. I'm the same yesterday, today, and forever. All right? So, one last thing, I'm going to let y'all go. So this is the model, right? What I'm about to show you is, so like I told you, my pops called me yesterday and was like, yo, we need to do something about our people going in and out of the prison system, right? And so watch this. This is This is an application for virtual reality where they're using technology. The same way I'm talking about using technology to virtually train through simulation the financial principles that the wealthy are using to people who have no concept of these financial principles. And if they can take inmates who have been locked up for 20 years and acclimate them to society through simulation, through virtual reality, how much more can we take our people who are out here day to day, touching some measure? God didn't care what measure was coming through our people's hands. He said, I could take 5 loaves and 2 fish. We got the blueprint for generational, supernatural, transformational wealth, and ain't applying it, and aren't training it. He promised, I will feed you with the heritage of the one who I showed a ladder connecting the earth and heaven. I'm going to feed you with that. That's called an ascension. That's a promise of transfiguration. That's a promise that I'm going to take you from low life to have life. It's called the Hav-Life coin for a reason. We throwing out Hav-Life-Lines. I'm a Havillah. I am a Hav-Life coach. We taking people, they join in the team, we give them the playbook, and we hold them accountable to execute every day. Don't nobody do it better. And once I got the analogy, the Creator spoke to the people during that day based off of what their talents were. And then he built the financial economy and the blessings of it around what they did. Well, in this day and age, we engaging in technology, and every physical competition we dominated. So we had to own all streams of revenue. We have to throw out the Hav-Life-Lines to all of our people who are dying and perishing and wallowing in abject poverty, and all while grooming for Europe. Generational wealth for individuals who can't compete with the children that we're handing off to them, and we grooming them. We training them. We taking them out there and showing them how to do the layups. We taking them out there every day showing them how to run the routes. We got mamas. Kevin Durant's mama woke that boy up at 12 midnight. He shoot the way he do because of a woman. I'm going to say that again. He plays the way he plays because of a woman. His mama had the work ethic, taught him the work ethic that made him a supernatural pro. It is unnatural not to dominate. It is unnatural to let somebody else extract wealth off of that and give you back the crumbs. What I'm telling you is, we about to do this financially.
These 6 men were convicted of murder as teens in the 80s and 90s, so they've never even used smartphones. This year,
Convicted of murder as teens in the 80s and 90s. They've never seen a smartphone.
Colorado created a program to make certain longtime inmates eligible for early release, using virtual reality to practice being on the outside.
Oh, this is almost like real. This is crazy.
Vice News visited the class as the inmates used VR for the first time.
This year marks 26 years. I was 16 when I was arrested.
16.
April will be 23 years, and I caught my case when I was 16.
I committed my crime when I was 17, and I just finished my 31st year.
31 years.
I had to adapt in a way that no kid should have to.
I worry every day that somehow not ever functioning in society as an adult it's going to be impossible for me.
Today, we'll be trying virtual reality, so it'll be new to you, but it's new to pretty much everyone. How do you feel about elephants? Want to see some elephants?
This is the first class of inmates in Colorado's Second Chance program. Their sentences were so harsh as teens that it was unlikely they'd ever leave prison. But since the early 2000s, the justice system has become more forgiving of young criminals. Now, these men have the chance to be considered for early release if they finish this 3-year program.
So take a look around you for a minute. Looking back of you. Turn around. And is it playing?
Yeah.
Right. And are they walking towards you? Okay, great. Did you feel like you were there?
My stomach is turning. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
That wasn't cool. I wasn't expecting that.
The classes teach them money management and computer skills, but
The classes teach them money management and computer skills. Yes, we're going to do it. My pops don't know nothing about this. This is what listen, the Most High had already put this in my lap before my pops called me yesterday talking about he wants to do something to prevent the never-ending cycle of our people going back into prison. And the Creator had already given me a financial system as well as the technical application. Do you know at the university that we both graduated from, they the best in the country at doing virtual reality? Do you know that right up the street, the headquarters for creating this technology is my alma mater. I'm in the headquarters for doing the ministry that my pops called me yesterday like, yo, man, I'm trying to figure out how to do this. It's already figured out. All of the resources is in place. What I'm trying to tell our people, my brothers and sisters, is y'all collectively, we all are the resource. We all are the bank. I'm going to come here tomorrow and I'm going to show you a school that they created at MIT. They created a school at MIT called the Legatum Academy off of taking, listen, this model that I'm telling y'all about. I'm telling y'all, this is what we have been exposed to financial blessings and resources, and nobody in the world can do better than we can, and we not even in the arena. MIT created a school that a gentleman from Dhaka, Bangladesh, in the mid-90s went back to Bangladesh. Went back to his third world poverty. He did what? He went back to his people. He came to the US, tapped into some resources, tapped into some technology, figured out an application to where he could go back to a third world country and take cell phones, internet, and connect his people in the third world communities to internet and be connected to the world by giving them access to cell phones. In the 90s, only 2 cities in all of India had landline telephones at the time. The capital city, they had literal landlines, and one other, the second most populated city. Everywhere else in all of India, no telephones and definitely no cell phones. And this man figured out a way to take micro lending, listen to me, micro lending, meaning he got together some investors who provided micro loans for people in the community to be able to purchase the phone. And then they used the phone and they charged the other people in the community to come and speak to their loved ones. So people were willing to come and pay, just like back in the day, we used to go and put money in a payphone. We used to physically go and put money in a payphone. They created a business model off of micro lending and sold over 500 million cell phones over a 15-year period. Billions of dollars have been generated annually from creating a solution to give people in abject poverty access. And we got people, we ain't got to go to Bangladesh. Go to Chicago. Go to the south side of Chicago. Go to Paramore in Orlando. Go to Pine Hills in Orlando. Go to Camden, New Jersey. Go to Liberty City in Miami. Go to all of Detroit almost. We don't got to go to no third world city. But we got access. The world comes here. China comes here. Everybody comes here. And then they go back home and they create prosperity all over the world. And we sitting in here, letting all of this bread go through for all of our whole lives. And nobody in none of our lives, in none of our circle, that ends in this generation. This is the Joseph 14-year, 7-year of abundance. And then 7-year of want for the world. 2020 to 2034. And our people is going to weather the storm and be the beacon of financial prosperity to the world. And be a testament to the whole world whose God is God. You can't represent God in poverty. You don't represent the king in poverty. That's why he said, go tell Pharaoh to let my people go so that they can worship me. You can't represent my God in poverty. You a liar and the truth ain't in you. My God ain't unfruitfulness. Not near son, not near daughter of this king is unfruitful. Impotence is in Satan's camp. Satan's children need Viagra. Impotence. It's time for us to reflect the pedigree that we come from. It's time for us to reflect every aspect of the kingdom that we represent. I have never seen a king whose children are the paupers. That is unnatural. You have never in history, not even in these fake kingdoms of the world, they make sure that the peasants is the peasants. And they children reflect the bloodline that they carry. But y'all got to understand, the Most High said, he defined who his family is. The children of Israel tried to make a different definition. The children of Israel tried to tell the world that, listen, if you from the line of Shem, you're guaranteed kingdom. Two statements, and we're going to get out of here. Before Abraham was, I am ITB. Every single day, y'all need to claim ITB. ITB. One of the most effective branding things that Floyd Mayweather did was he said, I am TBE. The best ever. TBE. The best ever. The only thing that upstages TBE is ITB. In the beginning. In the beginning was the power. In the beginning, he started the clock. The clock started when he said, let there be light. In the beginning, the clock started. Ain't no nothing before let there be light. The scoreboard started when he said, let there be light. And our ancestors, Adam and Eve, been dominating ever since. And the losers been faking like they building kingdoms, faking like they writing laws. Ain't no other law besides I will write on the fleshly tablets of your heart. So before Abraham was, I am, and the last one. Y'all ready? Master. Your birth mother and your blood brothers are at the door. They want to come in to the house where you're at. He turned around and said, don't tell me who my mother and brother are. Those who do the work of my Father. Those who do the work of my Father. And when he died on the cross, he turned to John and he said, son, this is your mother. Mother, this is your son. He told you, I will put enmity between your seed and the serpent seed. So what did he do? He put enmity between his blood brothers and his mother. His blood brothers wasn't doing no work. And the rebuke that he was laying down was bloodline don't mean nothing in this kingdom. My father's fruit. So you keep letting them preach to y'all and lie to y'all. You keep letting them play these spiritual games with y'all. Any spiritual entity that is unfruitful, just look around your congregation. If everybody is 60 and above, and 3 and below, unfruitful. If they have not added in 4 generations, they are a empty spiritual ritual, and they're going to be left standing outside just like Jesus' brothers. He claimed his mama at the cross. Son, this is your mother. Mother, this is your son. But in the presence of the disciples, to make a point to the disciples and everybody who was there being healed, who's going to leave that room, so they would know, don't go out here playing with this spirit that I'm giving you. If you leave out of here and you don't do no work, you are just like them clowns outside who claiming the blood flowing through my veins, but don't have no connection with my father. So what does this mean? We have to prove that God is on the throne. We have to prove that we are the ones going to the kingdom. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. God rules in heaven. Ain't no poverty in heaven. Not an angel. They ain't subject to nothing. And earth is supposed to be identical to heaven. Give us this day daily bread. Your will's supposed to be done on earth as it is in heaven, and the bread's supposed to flow daily. Where's it at, y'all? It starts right here, right now. Starts here, right now. All right? We're going to take y'all through a process. We're going to let y'all register. We're going to let y'all put your talents and skills. If you don't have a business of nothing, but you technologically savvy, or you think you had the potential to be utilized, we got a pipeline of individuals who don't have no skill in the technologies, who we can simply take you through some courses to put you in position to be able to mentor and train the ones that we got coming through the pipeline. You ain't got to be in position. But if you are positioned, then we saying we need to come together. We're going to come and pool our resources. What's most important, y'all need to come and y'all need to learn and master. It's 9. It's like between 9 and 12 commands that he gave that they used to keep and implement. And we've dug them up and we dusted them off. every time they give them back to the people thought Hezekiah's whole rule was Hezekiah came after Ahab and Jezebel and said, yo, we going back to God. And he dug these same principles off, yo. This is how we found them. Plus when Manny sent us to ET, we verified, added that one to these other 12. Joash, the boy king, he dusted the same principles off and gave them back to and the people flourished, yo. All you got to do is run the play. You can't be doing something different, though. Joash called all of the people together and said, this is what we doing. Every house, Hezekiah, same thing. David, same thing. Joseph, same thing. This is one unanimous pride. When we make a move unanimously. It's one team. We make a move unanimously. We stand against opposition unanimously. We run the press unanimously. This is what this is. This is a full court press. I don't want to hear nothing about you tired. When we call for press, everybody on my team know. When you on the court, you going to run this press. And when you're not on the court, you're going to get your butt out there and get in condition. So when we need you on the court to run a four-court press, whether it's a whole quarter, a whole half, I don't want to hear you tired. I ain't trying to hear that, bro. I'm not telling you I'm tired. I'm not letting you down right now. I wasn't tricking off all week. I knew we was about to play the Hill School. I wasn't tricking off. I had this circled 3 months ago. I've been running around the campus for 3 months because I know what it takes to beat the Hill School. I can look in them chicks' faces later. Our people don't know how to get their priorities straight. Our people don't know how to put the ultimate goal at the end of the finish line up above everything. Our people don't know how to sacrifice. Daniel went in the door like, I don't care what y'all got going on in Babylon. That don't affect me one way or other. Listen, I know how to win. I'm doing that which it takes to win. I'm not following nothing. I'm going to lead. Listen, I'm going to lead this whole nation. Where we at, yo? That's all we do. And I'm going to leave y'all with this. All our life, we've been fighting for the underdog. That's what Christ is. Fight for the underdog. Satan ain't nothing but a bully, and all his children is bullies. I was at Palm Forge Academy. They had this little dude from South Carolina, Leslie. We called him Now Born. Leslie Henry. I'll never forget it. And one thing about manhood. There's one thing about manhood. When we was coming up, we used to have a phrase, yo, the real recognize the real. Real men are securing themselves and they ain't trying to pray and take advantage and exploit the weakness in others. Real men don't do that. So because this society is built on a group of individuals who want to prey and exploit other people, there's no need to fear this society because it ain't real. It's no need to fear niggas in the street because all of the real cats in the street. I have never been to a city, not one, where real cats prey on the inferior. It's always the lesser, the bottom of the barrel. And this dude Leslie came to our campus. And I can remember walking past the room. And yo, they whooping this dude. They cutting his hair. They are just, it's a room full of dudes. This dude is a little sophomore. They got him in a room, jumping him. I hear clippers running. Everybody laughing. They go boom, 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 boom. Man, I open the door, I walk in the room. Like, he ain't nothing to me. He ain't nothing to me. He just a new dude but I'm looking at these individuals. You won't do that to me. I bet you won't do that to me. I'm going to close the door. It's me and him. Oh, no, we just playing. We just having fun. You know what? From this day forth, he a brethren. From this day forth, what you do to him, you do to me. And if you put your hand on him, anywhere, everybody who belong to me, gonna handle it. I ain't have to go talk to the team. I didn't have to go check and see. I didn't have to go take a vote if I could say it or not. Because I know who's on my team. I know how the team get down. And what I'm saying to my family is, we supposed to be like this all day, every day, in every circle. In every circle, in every arena. Cats be on the internet talking crazy about our women. I got a wife. I got daughters, nieces, sisters. These cats just be talking crazy, reckless. First of all, that is not a real dude. Like, we don't even have to acknowledge that. Let alone accept. Like, how is we letting stuff slide when real men, real kings rule? How is we going about letting individuals put people who we love in harm's way based off of the image and the projection? They are branding our women as worthless slabs of meat to be done with whatever you want. Then I got to send my daughter out the door? What? Don't no president get no pass. Don't no politician get no pass. They got people believing that these individuals got a pass. Don't nobody got a pass, yo. Everybody got to fall in line. And if there's anything that the Messiah laid down when he walked this earth, it is that. All of nature will get in line and get checked if you out of line. You will not go against my supernatural design and give my children the false belief that something other than I prescribed is true. So the number one thing that we got to erase is poverty. That's the first thing you got to erase. Ain't nobody getting to the kingdom unless the least of these our brethren is fed, clothed, have shelter. There is no going to the kingdom. He didn't say, well done, the best preacher out here. Well done, the best Bible study giver. Well done, the best prayer. Man. He said, you put in work, yo. Wherever this group right here that I'm saying, come enter into the joy of my Father. Wherever you went, poverty could not exist. It's nothing else to read in the word, yo. There ain't nothing there is no other lesson. You want to enter into the joy of my Father? This is the work that I'm rewarding. This is all it's all about. That's it. That's the only, listen, there's nothing else to read. But you can't be a faithful servant if you ain't preparing. That's practice. That's preparation. And don't nobody do practice, execution, and play better than our people. Nobody. This is the easiest group to get to the kingdom. This is the easiest group to get fruitfulness and abundant life from. Because don't nobody got the work ethic of our people. But we just willing to sit back and allow individuals to rob God. Will a man rob God? Yet you have robbed me. Even this whole nation. You are cursed with a curse, for you have robbed me. You are cursed with a curse. I will rebuke the devourer for your sake if you prove me. Yo. This is a financial movement. This is a financial movement. Let me tell you something. Romans chapter 11. One of the hardest texts. Romans chapter 11. He said, if the first dough, is holy, the whole batch is holy. Robert Kiyosaki said, I want you to help me set some other slaves free. And then the Most High God took me to Romans chapter 11 and he said, I already told you, the first dough, if the first dough is whole, Adam and Eve was given the first dough, the first currency, which we are resurrecting and giving back to God's people. He said, if the first dough is holy, everything you make out of that dough, the whole batch is holy. He said dough, finances, money, the work of the Father. He like, forget Israel. Go to the first dough. Forget those who kept bumping their head and going enslaved. Go to the first dough. After I clothed Adam and Eve and me, do you hear them ever? Do you hear any of their children other than Cain? Nope. Genesis 5 and Luke chapter 3 connects that lineage from Adam all the way up to Christ. That's why he said, if the first dough is holy, the whole batch is holy. And it tells you the sons that was faithful. It tells you the households that remained financially superior over the whole earth from the beginning of time to his day. So now that his people are separated, he's saying all you got to do is return back to the financial system that lineage in Genesis chapter 5 and Luke chapter 3 did. They wasn't doing no 10% tithe and offering. No. And I'm going to spend 2020 teaching everybody who want to know exactly what Noah did financially. For the king to come down to earth and say, you are perfect in your generation. Let me give you the keys to the whole earth. And I'm about to destroy the whole earth by a flood. Because you are perfect, I'm going to give you the blueprint to not only weather this storm, but after it's over, you will hold the keys to the economy, because the global trade of the Havillah Road was connected by the port cities that were built when Noah's descendants after the flood continued sailing and trading and creating this financial system called the Havillah Road that I'm introducing us back to. The Havillah Road and the Havillah coins, the Havillah bill, Havillah bars, the good gold of Havillah. Same gold he gave to Jesus Christ when he was born. Gold, frankincense, and myrrh. This is our economy, yo. All right? Every day. I'm going to give y'all the dates of when we're going to launch the site, when everybody can go register, where you could, it's a covenant. We enter into a covenant. We enter into, this is not some public, we not looking to, this ain't a stock exchange offering where we looking to, nah. What we trying to do is give our people who want to be first responders, who want to be training, throwing out Hav-Life-Lines, financial Hav-Life-Lines. Y'all want to play on this team, run these plays to rescue, to break bread, to feed the 5,000. And then the rebound, return on that investment, it's unlimited. What you do with the rebound, that's what you do. We just putting the system back in place of what we do with our initial bread that come in. We make a unified investment. We get together 4 times a year and present our offerings to the king. And those offerings to the king are unto the least of these our brethren. And this is it's a pipeline. It's a pipeline over and over. All right? Y'all see it. We're just getting started. Call my pops and let him know. Call my pops and let him know we good. He ain't got to search for how he gonna fund that ministry. It's already done.
This is the program's main attraction. 360-degree videos get the inmates comfortable with the headsets and show them how much the world has changed.
Why don't we try self-checkout?
Now I'm going to show you how to check out of a grocery store and pay for the groceries you're buying using self-checkout.
And the store trusts the people like that?
Yeah, they do. You know, there's often sometimes someone standing around, but by and large, yeah.
You will scan and bag your groceries yourself. Unless you need help, there's no store employee involved.
What'd you think?
That was amazing. It's like you're in there. I didn't know there was that much trust in the world, but that you can check out your own stuff. But I can stay on one of them things all day.
It's just a way different world than the world I remember. It was in some ways depressing how much of the world that you've missed, you know, after a quarter century, you know, has gone by. It's a different planet. Yeah, I would not recognize that as a grocery store. No.
This is the other type of virtual reality. With what you had on, you could observe, but you weren't really interacting that much. So this is much more about interacting. This one is how to do laundry.
Okay, what am I doing? Separating the wax?
Yeah, let's separate the colors first, and you can put it into one of the other cards.
All day.
That's okay. But once they're done, you can put them in the dryer.
Just to let y'all know how serious God is with what it is we doing. He sent an investor to us years ago that allowed us to take young people from the worst neighborhood in Orlando down to a hospital. The only place on the East Coast where they have Da Vinci robotic surgical units. So we had kids from middle school, high school, college going to a hospital for 2 days. And just like they doing through simulation, the Da Vinci surgical robotic unit trains physicians how to do surgery robotically and remote. So if the military got somebody in Afghanistan, they go to this hospital and they remotely do surgery. I'm telling you what we already doing with this. When we say break the cycle, we've gone out and the Most High has sent resources. Resource after resource. The only dot that we have not connected until now is the financial piece of it. But this is how you train individuals to do things through simulation. And when you apply the same concept to financial wealth building, and you take people through the simulated process of learning the principles, our people are going to thrive.
it was.
Ethan Muller started developing virtual scenarios for inmates 2 years ago as VR production became cheaper.
Oh, you're a tough guy, huh? Is that it?
He thinks it's an effective training tool for both sides of criminal justice. He's developing VR to train police officers in conducting traffic stops and de-escalating suicide threats, and to prepare inmates to move between prisons with less anxiety.
If you can take the outside world and move it into here so that they can practice before they get out there, I think it's going to be really helpful.
I'm pretty sure it'll teach me the small things, laundry, how to work a debit card, how to work a cell phone. I gotta learn those things first in order to move forward.
The next one is about how to handle a conflict. And so we're going to put you in a bar, and there's going to be a guy there trying to start a fight.
I shouldn't be in a bar anyway, I'm broke.
That's right.
You looking for a fight?
No,
You just bumped into me.
this boy's tall as hell.
Half of all Colorado inmates will return to prison within 3 years of getting out. While data suggests that recidivism is lower for violent criminals, the inmates are worried about their odds.
Wow.
That's pretty intense.
I had a child when I was younger, and well, I cannot be a dad, but I can still be a grandpa. I'm just nervous about getting out and succeeding. I want to do everything that I have to do to succeed.
If they complete the program, their cases will go to the governor, who will decide whether to let them out. So it's possible their sentences won't change, and they'll stay in prison for decades.
All right, it's day one. Havillah coins. The Havillah Road. Single eye BTC coins. All right, it's day one of an essential program to use simulation to teach principles that Robert Kiyosaki and a bunch of millionaires that we got access to have given us blueprints to share with our people. All we got to do is put our people in connection with them. All we got to do is remove the barriers to our people. And all we got to do is then be faithful with the returns that come in. And every year just keep the pipeline going. And watch, you're going to see generational wealth in all of y'all families. The words say a good man leaveth wealth to his children's children. And this is the way to do it. Peace.